Welcome to the Red Gauge Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Kyle. This is Josh. Today we're joined by the distinguished Alauna Carstens. Alauna is a collegiate distance runner. She's running for the Evergreen State College. She placed third at the NAIAs in the 3K. She was the NAIA national champ in the marathon, two-time high school state champion and state record holder in the 3200, and the NAIA West Indoor Track Athlete of the Year, along with being a full-time All-American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Alauna.
Happy to be here.
That was like a 35-second
Intro?
run-in.
Yeah. We're going to get better at it.
You would have to dig deep to find all the crap I've ever done to get 35 seconds worth.
Yeah.
I mean, like second grade, fourth in the spelling bee.
Yeah, once bowled a 180.
I was real good in the first grade flashcards, like edition flashcards.
Yeah.
Couldn't be beat.
Couldn't be beat.
Yeah.
In middle school, we did this thing called the challenge run, and you'd have to run really hard for 12 minutes, but if the kids weren't running hard enough, you'd have to answer like a math question in the middle of the run, and that just reminded me of it.
And you crushed it?
I did, but they played the same song for 12 minutes, and I forgot what the name was, but like it haunts me. Like I don't ever want to hear it again.
Okay, I'm going to ask for some running advice then.
Oh.
When you go running, do you set a playlist with a bunch of songs, or do you just put one instrumental on and just listen to it over and over and over again?
This might be a hot take, but I don't listen to music at all. It's literally just me and my thoughts, which is kind of scary, but...
Because you are not allowed to listen to it during an event.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
so...
I just like to be... But even, like, on my recovery training days, like when I'm on the Alter G, which is like an anti-gravity treadmill, most people like listen to a podcast or play music, but I'm literally just like staring at this. There's like a window in front of me, the Starbucks right there, and I like to like count the cars that like go through. It's kind of crazy. People will wait for coffee for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, I've almost done 2 miles. Like, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, that gives you some perspective right there. Like, you just got better by 10 minutes. Like, and they waited to pay $8 to get like 800 calories.
Yep.
Like the ways people live their life.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stop at Starbucks after this.
I think the important takeaway from that was like, she's like, I just did like 2 miles in that 10 minutes. And I'm over here being like, I could totally do 2 miles in 10 minutes any day.
On a bike?
I don't even think I could do it on a bike. I think I'd be calling you for a ride. I'd be like, come pick me up.
Yeah, let's do some, one thing we don't talk about here, and I'm afraid we won't get to it, is what's some of your like personal bests?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Normally we're used to talking to like what's your best squat? Mm-hmm. If you want to throw that in there too.
Oh man, it's kind of embarrassing. We'll stick to running.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with the 5K because I'm gonna be running that next week, and so I came into outdoor season a little later than everyone else because I'd qualified for nationals during indoor, and that was kind of like crossing at the start of outdoor season. And so my first race was the 5K at Hayward Field, and it was the first time I ever broke 17, and I ran solo, and it was windy and rainy, so
you not the only person on your team, but the only person running?
Oh, no, there was other teams, but like
Okay.
I was about like 5-6 seconds ahead of everybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You were dominating.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You broke 17 minutes in the 5K.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
16:58.
even when I was at my best running shape, that's faster than my best 3K. The 1%, right? Like,
Yeah.
It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Anytime you think you're good, there's someone that's gonna whoop your ass.
I always remind myself of that, and I don't know, it's motivating.
Yeah.
But my 3K time is 9:44. But I'm pretty sure I can run I think I can run faster. I just need to get in the right race. This is like the first year I really did the 3K, so I was learning like all the tactical moves and everything, and I thought I was gonna be. I pretty much had run that at UW like right before my national experience, and I thought I'd be running faster at nationals, but everyone started off like super conservative, and nobody wanted to just go for it. So I think next year when I'm in that championship race, I'm just gonna send it. Like,
Yeah.
Keep up.
Yeah. And then mile is 4:57. That was also another UW race. Marathon 2:47. I don't know what's with the sevens. I and I was on pace for the course record actually, which was 2:46, but I lost it right at the end. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Did you just start running out of steam, or did you realize you were gonna win? And
Yeah. No. I didn't take like any aid during that marathon. It was
so all 45 pounds of you decided to go without water and just see what happened.
Well, okay. I grabbed the water and Gatorade, but no gels, and that's such a rookie move. Like you don't do that. And mile. It was funny because I actually set a half marathon PR during the marathon, and my coach was like, "What is she doing? Like this is too fast." And I was like super confident all the way up to mile 20. Like in my head, I was like, oh, like I don't see the big deal like with marathons. Like this is what is everyone complaining about? And then I ate my words. Like literally right after that, I felt like something left me. I was like, I feel kind of funny. And it was the longest 6 miles of my life.
It is funny how like that's the mileage, right? Like they always say like 2021 is the mileage that the wall comes and gets you. Like obviously people that do it a lot probably are able to push through that because they're so used to it. But like that's the mileage. It's not 14 or 17 or 21. It's like 20 to 21 is like.
It's also funny that like everybody's story about running a marathon is like I got to 20 and realized I was in trouble, and so and then like you're still going through it. You're like I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
6 more miles.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is like training for the marathon. I didn't actually like. I just trained like a cross-country runner, if that makes sense, because we didn't want like training for the marathon to affect like track season.
Right.
Because it's really hard to do the marathon and then try to run like a fast mile or 5K. So we were really careful with like how we went about training. And I actually only did like 2 specific marathon workouts, and my longest run was 19 miles leading up to it. So when that wall hit, it really hit.
Yeah.
And I just had to power through, and it was. I'm glad that I started out quick though, because even though like I slowed down a lot like towards the end, my overall pace was still 6:20 like for the whole thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely run a 6:20 mile.
Your last mile was 2 minutes faster than Cofield's best one.
3 minutes faster, literally exactly 3 minutes faster than my best mile.
The last mile was more like 7-minute pace, but.
Well, that's still 2 minutes faster.
Never mind.
It'll be all right. Hey, I mean, it's okay that you're awesome. Like that's fine. You don't have to apologize for it.
That's why you're here.
Yeah. Okay, so you said something in there that I now need to know everything about.
Mm-hmm.
The 3200.
Yeah.
So that's 8 laps on a track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you start and end at the same spot. They're not offset by like 100 or whatever. Like the 1500s, you end at a slightly different spot that you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the What are all the strategies for running the 3200?
Yeah. It really depends like where and like who you're racing, I guess, that day. Like I said, like the championship style races, everyone's conservative at the start. But, like meets during the regular season, I think I like to make my move after the mile, for sure. And that's kind of like the 3K too. That's when we really pick it up. Like in the 3K, our first mile was like 5:15, and then we would go to 5 flat. But I think it really depends. Like if I'm boxed in, I really try to like get out of that box as soon as I can.
I saw you throw an elbow right there.
Yeah. I'm ready to get out.
Yeah.
Me and Dennis Rodman got a lot in common. Elbows.
And actually, one time, I know I'm talking about the 3K, but it's very close to the 32 too.
Yeah.
But yeah, one time I was running at UW and I was boxed in and I was trying to get out, but I couldn't. So I was still boxed in the second lap, and this girl in front of me she didn't realize there was like a rail thing, I guess, right next to us because everyone was like super close, and she ended up tripping and I had to like jump over her, and then this other person jumped and she ended up spiking me above my knee, and I have this like gnarly scar now. And so yeah, you definitely want to like try to get out of that as soon as you can. And then kind of throughout the race, just like throwing surges is really important. Just like short bursts of like movements, but controlled. So yeah, I guess those are some strategies.
Do you ever get into, like, is there ever like team strategies where like one person, like, I would imagine that everybody is going to try to do their best, but like at any point in time was like, all right, Cofield, like either you're going to take off and just like try to burn everybody's legs.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then like. Kyle's not even gonna barely finish the race or pull out, or like where I'm gonna take off and like you're gonna slow down and like try to slow the pack down or anything like that. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, it does. I haven't actually done that as much, but there's a lot of teams like they'll have a pacer and then they'll drop out like the second lap, and it's like, whoa, like okay, I thought they were gonna finish. But yeah, that does happen a lot. And actually, my teammate just asked if I could pace her in like the 10K coming up, but we'll see because that's right after a really hard 5K. But I do want to help with that, and I think it's really cool when like people have that opportunity to help teammates, because like our sport it's very like you're on your own, but there's that like team. There's still those team aspects. So when you do get the chance to help someone, it's pretty awesome.
How helpful is pacing? Like if I told you to go out and run like a certain amount, like run this mile in 5:30, like how close? Like, and I didn't give you a watch. Do you feel like you could?
Ooh, no watch.
Like, do you think you could be fairly close?
Yeah, senior year in high school, we actually practiced that a lot. Like I would do my 200 reps at mile pace, and Coach Dave was like, hey, no watch. Like we're just going to go based off feel. And I got really good at it, but it took a second. Like it took a while to like be able to trust myself and know like, okay, like I can do this. Like I know how it feels. But I tend in college to like I know what like a 5:30 or 5:20 mile feels like, but I'll still be quick because like I get anxious.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, okay, if I'm right on, like what if I'm slower the next time? So I like to be like a second or two ahead.
I guess that's good.
Yeah.
Better than being slow. Like,
it stresses my coach out sometimes. He's like, can you just hit the pace? Like, I'm like,
And you're like, no, I'm too fast. I'm too fast.
Pick a faster pace.
Oh, but actually, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
During the state race for the 3200, like speaking about like moves and stuff, most people kick with like 200 to go, but I've always known that I'm more of a strength runner, so I need to go early. Like I don't actually have that much speed towards the end like some other people do, so I kicked with like 400 to go, and I just like, held on. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, that's actually, I was just gonna ask you if like how much you vary the strategy, because I'm sure even in distance races there's a big variety of people who, you know, are fast or can do work, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're an athlete and you're like, I can do work, then the slow start's probably like brutal for you, right? Because you're like, no, I want to go, and you know, like I want them to be tired when we get done with the first mile because then I can shine, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that plays a big role in how you decide to run your races?
For sure, and that's something my coach and I talked about after the national 3K experience, because we're like, okay, like, because I'm one of those people, like I can hurt for a while and be okay, you know, and with 3K, like not a lot of people can do that. They have that speed at the end. So I think, yeah, definitely, like I think moving forward, I want to do that with all my races. Just kind of
get to that like anaerobic threshold and just hang out there and just push the whole race through like that.
Pretty much, and have that confidence to do that. But it is scary when you go into a race and you know like other people have faster PRs than you, but they just don't want to take the lead. And yeah, and I think something my coach and I also talk about is like, it's okay. Like nobody wants this to happen, but it's okay to get outkicked at the end. Like if you know, like you put it all out there, and like I could still get a PR. Just I might have not won the race, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is stay at that slower pace. If you know they are going to outkick you, then you're just letting them keep more and more energy.
True.
Right? Like
like sometimes I definitely let them like if it's outdoor race, like break the wind or something. So it definitely depends what type of race, but I am working on just being like more confident at the start.
Yeah. Setting your race.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I'm into that. Okay. So how this is normally the first question I ask.
I was going to say I lied to her.
We're already 15 minutes in.
First question.
Well, 14 minutes in because we got to edit the first minute of Josh yawning and burping and everything.
I wasn't yawning or burping.
You were just making faces.
Sitting like this.
Don't lie. We know you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you get into sport?
Yeah, so growing up, my siblings and I had like opportunities to try a bunch of different sports. And that was really cool because that's something like my mom didn't have growing up. So yeah, we got a I tried like karate, soccer, basketball, and all those sports that required me to like run up and down the field or the court. I think the only thing that kept me from getting subbed out was the fact that I could run, because I was not that coordinated.
Just didn't get tired.
Yeah, I didn't get tired, and I didn't really complain. So they're like, "Well, we'll keep her in," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then in middle school, I was like, "Oh, maybe I should give like a track, like full season of track a try," because I did it in elementary school. They had us like do those little competitions in PE, and then we had like one track meet at the end of the year.
Right.
And so I had experience with that, but I just never had like experienced the full track season before. So in 6th grade, I gave it a shot, and I really just did it to help with other sports at first, and because my friends were in it, I was like, oh, like this will be fun. And ended up loving it. I found like a really great community, and I wasn't even winning races at the time. I had a lot of fun. Like I was like, whoa, like, okay, like there's this thing called a PR. Like I can, I can keep working towards this goal. And so after that track season had ended, in the summer, I would ask my grandma to take me up to the Huff and Puff all the time, and she would just, I'd run 2 miles, and then I'd run like further each time, and if I wasn't back in a certain amount of time, then she would get worried, because I didn't have a watch back then. I just knew the course was like 2 miles long, and I could loop it, and so I had a lot of fun with it, just like on my own, and then I heard this thing, I heard about cross country, and I was like, what is cross country? And even though track like introduced me to the sport, I think, or like distance running, I think cross country definitely made me like love the sport, if that makes sense, because we got to explore so many trails, and it was fun, and team camps. I just felt really close, with the team, and so I think that's how I got.
And cross country is a great like distance to run, you know, like you can probably only run so many marathons in a lifetime, right? Yeah. And like the 800 and the mile are just kind of like suffering at maximum volume, you know.
Oh, so 800 is like, that is just, you're just sprinting 2 laps, like.
I always tell the story. In middle school, I ran the 800-meter run, and then in high school they called it the 800-meter dash. I was like, that's no longer my thing. Like,
I'm not doing it.
I can do the 800-meter run, the 800-meter dash. That's absurd.
I liked in your story so far, like there's still more obviously, hopefully, but that you were like, oh, I went to the Huff and Puff, and people, for those who don't know, the Huff and Puff is this really nice wooded trail that we have that's, you know, it's kind of like a clover, so there's a bunch of loops you can run, and the more loops you run, the longer it is. And when I was in like my early 20s, I decided I needed to be in better shape, and so I was going up to the Huff and Puff before work every day to run. And it took me 6 months to get to like 2 clovers or two loops on the clover, and then I had to go see a doctor about my asthma. I was like, it was so like, I love like the talent. Like I'm just gonna go run 2 miles because it's fun. Why not? You know?
I get to the end of the first straight stretch, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play disc golf.
You're just throwing rocks. You didn't bring your frisbees with you.
Why did I bring my discs for this run? Oh, they just happened to be here.
So anyway, you cross country made you fall in love with track. Well, or running.
Running.
And then I decided to do like Osprey Track Club. It was a shot to like do Junior Olympics, so that was really exciting. And I don't exactly remember like where I placed or like my times or anything, but I just remember like the feeling of being at this big meet, getting to perform, and just being like representing Shelton, and I really liked it. So then I just continued stuff after that, and then in 8th grade I started running with the high schoolers, and
And then it was all downhill from there, or uphill from there.
Downhill.
It was all multiple hills from there.
Yes,
it's cross country. You go up and down.
So you're a sophomore this year, and so you've got a couple more years of academic eligibility.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you had any interest in taking your, marathon championship and turning that back into? So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about school. Like, we can go through it pretty quick or whatever. But you started at St. Martin's, and then moved to Evergreen the next year.
Yep.
Yeah, and that move was good for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And have you thought, like, are you really excited to stay at Evergreen? You want to keep running there? Are you wanting to go run for? What's the like most prestigious running? Is it Oregon, or who's our running teams
Florida
right now?
Schools, like all or like UW.
Yeah.
But I think people were really shocked when I decided to stay at Evergreen. So I'm in my sophomore year, but that's because I chose to like extend my bachelor's. So this is actually my second year at Evergreen and third year in college in general. But I think people were shocked when I decided to stay at Evergreen for the second year, but they're building something that's like never been done there before with their distance program. And I feel like my coaches know all my goals, and I like trust in the process, and I feel like things are going. And what's interesting about running actually is that no matter what division you're in, as long as you're fast enough, everyone goes to the same like invitationals. And so I'm always like racing against like D1, D2, D3. I actually had just set the facility record at Whitworth for the 10K last week.
Nice.
So yeah, I just didn't feel like I was missing out on any opportunities, and I found a really good community, and I wanted to be a part of something that's never been done before. So yeah, I do want to stay at Evergreen and finish my time there. And I love how Evergreen has a unique approach to academics. That was also something that
so I was going to say, our conversation beforehand makes me think that maybe an Evergreen might be, at least like for the bachelor's level stuff. Like if you go beyond that, master's or something, like maybe going to like an Oregon or something that's like super like into the books. But Evergreen it's a special place, right?
Yeah. I was an Evergreen grad. I tell people all the time, if you're really self-motivated and you know what you want to do, I don't think there's a better place to go.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you're not really self-motivated and you don't know what to do, I don't think there's a worse place to go.
No, I literally say the same thing. Yeah, that's 100% Evergreen.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, because they've got they have an alternative education model, and it works really, really good as long as you want to be there and you want to do it. If you don't want to be there and you don't want to do it,
I mean, a big part of the grade too is just like showing up, attendance, and that's actually something at SMU. Like I could miss class all the time, like or my friends, and I would still get like the full grade as long as I turned my essay in.
Right.
There was less group work, but at Evergreen, like I'm constantly talking to people and like being involved with the community, and that's a huge part of my grades. So
yeah, it's a great place to be. And they have maybe a nice thing for you. I don't know what your runs look like, but they've got like 1,000 miles of nature trail, or something crazy. It's a 1,000-acre campus,
and a little over 1,000 acres,
and it's all rainforest.
There's just so much.
And for me, I could start running from the parking lot and find myself on the disc golf course. Stop running.
There's just so many trails to explore, and it's great for adventuring out, and I'm never bored. I mean, like I was telling you guys earlier, like I don't listen to music or anything, so I just love getting to like see a bunch of different things, and that's, I guess, like my entertainment during the run. So that was great. And I also, like with the coaching setup, something I really appreciated is we have 3 main coaches right now, and we're actually getting a 4th next year. And one of the coaches just graduated from college. They were D1, and so it's like really nice to get to like talk to them, and then also like have a female assistant coach who is currently in her pro career. She's actually on track to like go to Tokyo for Worlds for race walk, and
cool.
And then the head coach, he's been coaching since he was 16. So I felt like I could talk to like all 3 of them in a different way and get like advice and have that like mentorship. So
and the communication, we talk about it all the time on the podcast. Like your communication quality and relationship with your coach is huge.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing as a coach, like try to get a lot of tools in the toolkits for communicating with your athletes, because
it's the one thing that from all the people that coach that's come up all the time is, for lack of a better term here, like who cares your knowledge base? Like you better be able to connect with the kids. Right? Like the connection and ability to deliver what you know is so much more important than what you know. So obviously you should know things, and if your coach is telling you wild shit that no one else has ever said in life, like maybe vet them a little bit. That's not what I'm saying, but like
I think I've been in situations where someone was like trying to give me advice on like not just like athletics, like academics, but I was focusing on like how they were saying it instead of what they were saying it. So I think the ability to like deliver something in I guess like a positive, uplifting way that will connect with someone is really important.
And just having like learning how to read your athlete, right? Like when we did powerlifting together, it was very much like a sweet and sour combination. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Monroe's got no problem policing the place, and then like I'd go back and be like, "You're doing okay. Like, just, you know, don't worry about it." And you know, like that worked really good for our team. You know, because we had 70 kids to work with, and so whatever they needed, they could, you know, they could get from somebody. You know? And it was a really great combination. But yeah, as a coach, it's kind of your responsibility to make sure that whoever it is that you're working with, that you can work with them. You know. Yeah,
bad cop doesn't always work.
I'm gonna start screaming and throwing things around the room.
That should have been the podcast name.
Bad cop, bad cop.
Bad cop, bad cop.
It's not too late. We can change it.
We can change it all the time.
We can do whatever we want. Yeah, nobody's gonna tell us otherwise.
How did you guys like get the name for the podcast?
Oh, that's a fun story right there.
Yeah. So, this whole enterprise. Time machine.
Throw back to Wayne's World there. Oh, I guess nobody else knew we were talking about Wayne's World. We were talking about Wayne's World before the show.
Yeah. So this whole enterprise started just from like, you know, like we've been working with kids for a long time, and you get frustrated about things that don't go well, and it's the same thing that doesn't go well every year. You know, like every group of kids, whatever it is, right? It's like, you know, this is something that is achievable, that is doable, and then it seems like every year we're just falling over. And so originally the idea was we were going to start a nutrition company to help out with like the nutrition gaps, which I'd actually really, I'm going to make a little note here right now. I just wrote down girls in sport, and hopefully I'll remember what that means.
So much to talk about.
But you know, we wanted to like help, you know, like kind of, we know, you know, like training has evolved a lot since we were kids, right?
Yeah.
So the stuff that I did or the things that were popular when I was young, nobody does anymore because they aren't very effective. You know, like there's better ways to do stuff. And so that really only happens though when people share, right? And so a big part of doing this was we were like trying to figure out how do we, you know, get out to people. And so we went looking for names, and we wanted to do it based around like the sports that we were interested in. You know, like originally it was around like wrestling, because wrestling's got the whole weight cutting thing.
Yeah.
You know, girls distance, you know, like that, you dipping your toe into weight cuts for girls distance is a really spicy topic, right? And so we were like, maybe we'll get something that's around, you know, like wrestling or weight management or something. And they were every name that we came up with, every single name, every one of them that was less than 5 words. So you could take any 5 words and put them in a comment, like they were already taken.
Wow.
So we literally sat down, we did like a little research on naming stuff, and we just sat down and made a gibberish name that we thought sounded nice.
Yeah,
so,
like Kyle had heard about it before, and I heard about it when I was probably 22 with Red Hook Brewery. We went on a tour, and they were like, would you like to know how we named it Red Hook? And it was like, it means absolutely nothing. Just they started talking about like the human brain and naming conventions of like strong first words in a business, and then like the second word, like it literally is just like a trick of the brain to like it sticks into your head, you know what I mean, like successful business. And then so we sat down, we didn't use red because of that, but we went through a book and a whole day of notes and like what words are going to work and which words work together, and red gauge, we had some people vote on it. And
yeah, because we had a lot of finalists, you know, and some of them were even more generic, like we had like Alpha Blue and, you know, like whatever. But then we were like the Alphas and the Sigmas have all been co-opted by social media, and so we can't, you know.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a meme.
So we've settled on red gauge, just kind of out of the ether.
And then since then we've transformed, like, we're not even remotely close to the business that we started. Like we've just evolved, and we learned early on, like people say, like I think it might have been Max, our first guest, was like, it's not about learning what works, it's failing as fast as you humanly can, like as humanly possible, because everything you do is going to be a failure at some level. Like you shouldn't look at anything being a success. It's all was not perfect, so how fast can you then transform and go to the next thing? And we've done that, I mean, massively. Like, you look around, there's, like, you can't see there from there, but there's, like, notes all over the wall. Those notes get changed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's just, we're just figuring it out.
Yeah.
Episode 23.
Yeah, so the podcast just came out of the idea of doing a nutrition company. And then once we got on the podcast, we were like, this is the best thing we've ever done with our lives.
Yeah.
Aside
now
from
it's
like
literally
having
just
children
how do we
and stuff.
support the podcast.
Yeah. We just
all
want
we
this
think
to
about
grow.
now is like, if the podcast doesn't make any money, how do we make money for just to be able to do this?
Yeah.
Especially if you could do it full time.
Yeah, because like it's great having you here in person. Like I haven't seen you in a couple of years. I miss you. You're a wonderful human being. We'd love to have everybody who's on the show in person. To be able to fly them out and stuff. So we'd like to have a budget and do all that kind of stuff. So
take some trips and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it can happen. So.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. What were we talking about before we got sidetracked by the name?
Alana being a badass.
Alana being a badass.
I guess my experience at Evergreen.
So like, what's next?
Oh.
So obviously we're in track season.
Yeah.
Like when is there? I don't know. I mean, all I know is technically like I know when the Shelton invite is, which means it's almost time for.
Yeah, we got a month and a half or whatever.
Right?
So.
Well, it's interesting because what's next? I guess. Well, Nationals in May, which lands on my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday!
Yeah, turning 21 on the track. And then after that, it's summer training, which summer's the only time we're not competing, which was something I had to like get used to, like the transition from high school to college, because in the winter, like it'd be winter training, and then so I guess like learning how to like deal with that intensity is something I had to figure out. But so yeah, summer training, bumping up my mileage. Right now I'm running 60 to 70 miles a week. And I hope to get up to like 80. Yeah, 80 would be a good number. And then it repeats back to fall, which actually it'll be interesting because next season I'm gonna do the marathon, cross country, indoor season, and outdoor season. This year I decided to redshirt cross to kind of like figure out the marathon stuff. So yeah.
Is the marathon marathon season?
Yeah.
How many marathons is that? Is that just training for a marathon?
Yeah, I did one marathon.
Okay. It's not like every weekend we're doing a marathon.
No.
I mean, some people do that. It's not like it's an impossible thing.
It was interesting because, my first ever marathon, California International Marathon, that's actually another cool thing is the NAIA has their national meet during the international meet. So you're running with like a bunch of pros and community members.
That's real fun.
So you always have people to chase. And like, guys and girls, like we all run together. So, there's that. And I actually ended up qualifying for Boston in my first marathon, but it's too close to like outdoor nationals, so I'll have to wait for that. But
you just crushed Monroe's whole heart.
Oh no,
that's what I was training for.
Well,
so I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. So when we talked about the lack of Monroe having like willpower, right when I was talking about at the end was the year that there was the bombing.
Oh.
So I was already training for the next one, like trying to qualify for the next, and all of the like boards and Reddit and everything was like, sure, here's like, for me at the time, I think it was like 2 hours, 59 minutes and some odd seconds. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. And I was on pace, like my half marathon was under that for sure. And so I was like, okay, I think I can qualify. But then they were like, they only take so many people. So even though that's the qualifying time, like, they were like, so many people are going to want to come out as like a memorial to the bombing that they're like, it's probably going to be, I forget exactly how they say, like Boston qualifying time plus 14 or minus 14 or whatever it was. Like, they're like, you probably need to actually run like a 2:45. And I was like, this is anytime I try to make it to a big event, that's how nationals for powerlifting was. Like, I'm there a year too late. Like, it's always a year too late for Monroe. Like, I just need to get off the couch and do something now.
Yeah.
Getting a little late now.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Young forever.
Yeah. There's always something. It's always an excuse.
So it sounds like, and just based on like placings and stuff, that you are stronger the longer the race is.
For sure. But it's nice to like practice the shorter distances because I know I only have so many years with that. Because after I graduate, I do like my main focus will be like marathon stuff. So I know I have like limited time to like get a good 5K and mile in 3K. So I appreciate the shorter distances, but my stronger suit is the marathon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say you ran 257?
247. Don't add 10 minutes.
Yeah, what is this?
Listen, the fact that I got that close was all because of Alpha Brain that I took this morning. We really should get a sponsorship. I plug those guys all the time. It sucks. I felt nothing different. I'm gonna finish it because it was expensive, but yeah, there it goes. My brain. Ooh.
So she ran a 2:47.
Yeah. I was on track.
What was the? Or you won it. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say what was the 2:47? Alpha Brain.
I was on track for 2:38 though till the end. That kind of messed me up.
Yeah.
And then the course record is 2:46, so almost had it. Hope to get it next year.
So the answer I'm looking for was yes. It's very competitive time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And running with the open runners, what was the open women's time?
They're like 2:35, 2:30.
Yeah.
I feel like. Yeah, actually, my teammate Max qualified for the marathon too, and it was his first All-American, so it was really nice. Like, we really represented Evergreen, but he got beat by like a pro female runner, and I was like, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it was very humbling for him.
So give us a little bit. Most people aren't going to have any idea, like, the difference between a 2:47 and a 2:32. Like, what? How big of a gap is that? Is that something where it's like, that's actually doable, right? Or is it like, that's a different type of human?
Yeah, that's interesting because it is a big gap, but my coach and I both know, like, next year, like, our goal is 2:38. Okay. And, so yeah, it just takes a lot of, like, consistency, right. I feel like.
And it's not even something that you're necessarily specializing in.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I don't start like full marathon training I don't want to do that till after college. Right. So, but I would say any time with like under 2:40 is a good time for like female marathon. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know, like, for guys, I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, if you can get under 3:30, you're in great shape, phenomenal shape for a regular human, right? Mm-hmm. And then the real times, right, are all the way down like 2:10 kind of times, right?
Oh, it's crazy that people have actually broken 2 hours in the morning.
Yeah.
The whole documentary is pretty interesting.
I didn't watch the documentary, but I was doing updates, like, I would check in periodically as he was running that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
We did a half marathon with my mother-in-law, which she was definitely in the middle-aged category.
She rode a bike for part of it.
I'm not gonna. But we went down to the Grand Canyon. We did the Grand Canyon half marathon.
Oh, nice.
And like it was like muddy and raining, and just like I was in decent shape still at that point in time, but it was like. She was a little bit older, and it was like super muddy and hard. Like it was literally sometimes like hard to walk. I think it would have been easier to run. Like you just like skirt the edges and just go. Yeah. But it was like we finished that thing in like 4 hours. Like it was hurting my body just because how long I'd been standing. And you know what I mean? It was just like, oh my gosh, can we just get going? I remember just towards the end there was just like this. And sorry, Debbie, if you were watching this or someone dimes me out for saying it was a slow half marathon. I enjoyed every minute of it. It just reminded me.
Yeah, you're a wonderful person, Debbie. We all love you.
Love you to death. But like there's like towards like maybe like with 2 miles left, this like 90-year-old woman passed us.
Oh no.
And I was just like, I'm too competitive. I was just like, God damn, this is old lady just passing. I want to trip her or something. Like, I'm not losing to some old lady.
Maybe one day we'll do a half marathon together, and then you can lap me. You can do a whole marathon.
I'll just do it together. You can be huffing and puffing, and I'll do the filming.
Okay.
On the side and commentate.
I got a great marathon story.
Oh.
It's not about me.
Did you watch it or something?
No.
Did you watch it?
So my high school coach, who John Sells, who we talked about on the last episode, he's like, 5'6", stocky. He was a thrower, right? Really powerful guy. But when he got out of the military, he practiced law. And he kept up his running. So he would run like a couple miles a day or whatever to stay in shape. And I'm probably going to butcher the story because he told it to me 25 years ago. So I apologize, John, if I mess it up too much. But he...
big listener.
Yeah, big listener. Yeah. He went to... some of the guys in his law office were running the Capital City Marathon. And they like goaded him into it. They're like, you're in good shape. Come run with us, And he's like, all right, sure. And they both ran like, sub 3:30. So like good, like they were in good shape, completed a marathon, ran the whole time. Very impressive, right? John said that he made it to like about mile like 11 or 13 and realized like there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to run this whole thing. Like, you know, he'd been running like 3 or 4 miles a day, you know, and so the big difference between 3 or 4 miles and 26 miles, right? And so he just started like walking and jogging and whatever. He wanted to finish it, you know, he wasn't going to give up, but he was just taking it pretty easy. So he crosses the line and they're like blasting off confetti and they bring him this giant trophy and stuff. He was the first one to cross the line at 5 hours.
What?
And so he got a great big trophy for being the first one to pass 5 hours.
Whoa.
And so he went to work the next day with this giant trophy and was like showing it off in the office. He's like, hey guys, how'd you do on your marathon?
Don't ask questions.
Yeah. That's a fun trophy, you know.
Yeah.
I thought like my worry would be like you get there and like they've taken the finish line down. There's not even anybody there anymore. The parking lots are cleared out. It's like, I guess I'm done.
Yeah.
The Capitol Lake Marathon.
Yeah.
That's a really cool lake marathon because that's actually where they held the first Olympic trials for women in 1984.
Oh, cool.
So you have some cool history there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I would be so stoked if I could do a marathon in 5 hours.
Yes. Maybe.
That was
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jumped on the podcast, dude.
Yeah. How many minutes a mile is that? So it's 26 miles and it's 300 minutes?
Edit this part out.
Yeah, okay. We're going to edit this part out. 20 minutes a mile?
Jesus Christ. It's still, you probably could do it, but.
That would be tough for me, man. I'd have a hard time.
It has a way less to do about, like, for you. It's going to be just, can you move for 26 straight miles?
Yeah, it's going to be the hip and the knee.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's either going to happen in 3:45 or nothing.
Yeah. I get that.
It's interesting. I don't know if this is like really true, but someone told me that the human body is really only supposed to go to like 23 miles. They just added the 3, you know? Like, why not?
Well, there's so many things that we do in sport that just don't, like, it started for no particular reason. You know, like, you know, the shot put was based on throwing stones, like why they settled on a 16 pound, who knows, you know? Lifting weights, the diameter of the only thing I've ever read about why they chose the size of like a 45 pound plate in the weight room is so that if you fell down with it, the bar wouldn't crush your skull and kill you.
Really?
Yeah. So there's just enough room.
Slightly bigger than the biggest head.
Yeah. They just found a dude with the big head, and they were like, okay, well, we need about 8 inches of clearance, and we'll be all right.
I did see a clean and jerk where the guy goes sideways.
Over
and he goes sideways.
Yeah.
And tries to dump it, and
wasn't good.
No, it's ground head weight.
No.
What's
I don't want to hear that. He's fine.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Absolutely.
What's the hardest thing to do in the weight room? You guys think?
The hardest thing to do in the weight room. So I'm actually really interested to see if you have a version of this. We asked Max Ada when he was on if he'd ever done anything so stupid that he like was allergic to the barbell afterwards.
Yeah.
And so one time I've been plagued with I have a billion injuries, a billion and a half. And so I had this knee thing that was bugging me forever. And as long as I stayed under like 350 pounds for a squat, it didn't really bother me. So then it was like, okay, well, how long can I make that a workout? You know, because you get stronger and, you know. And so one day I decided I was going to do 15 sets of 15 with a minute of strict rest in between. And I you know, there was time travel involved. I met my ancestors. I couldn't squat for like 3 months afterwards. Like every time I tried to get under a bar, it would like, you know, send waves of terror to my brain.
That's exactly how the marathon feels.
Yeah.
At the end, yeah. But I try to forget it because I have to do it next year.
Yeah. So like, I don't know that anything is particularly hard. You know, nothing in the weight room is so technically demanding that it can't be pretty conveniently taught to most people.
Yeah.
I would say that the most technically difficult stuff is the Olympic lifts, I think. The clean and jerk and the snatch to get good at, right? Then those are pretty technically demanding things.
But even
like
at that level,
you can get to 80% pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I think if you just said like, what's the hardest thing you would consistently do, like not some weird odd lift or something, like would probably be like, for me, would be high rep squats.
Yeah.
Like that really, like if you're like programming like sets of 15 where it's not just like nominal weight, like 15 an actual weight, like most people are gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there was a guy, I saw his like TED talk. He was a burn victim. and he had spent a long time in a burn ward, and he got really frustrated with how they changed his bandages because they'd come in and they just tear them off and put a new one on. And he was like, it would be so much easier for me if you would just go slow. Like, I know that, like, you know, it takes time out of your day or whatever, you know, but like, it hurts so much less when you go slow. I would rather sit here for 2 hours and have it be slow than have you just rip these things off of me because it's, you know, it's killing me, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the kind of the conventional wisdom, right, is like you take the Band-Aid off fast and you just get it over with, right?
Yeah.
But he went and did research afterwards, and he found that people rate the intensity of pain is a much more significant psychological factor than the duration of it. Right? So if you can do a little bit for a long time, but once it gets to the point where you're really, really uncomfortable, then it's like, okay, well, you know, it's hard for people to power through and just be like, I'm just going to do this thing that hurts like crazy for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So, you know, like in the weight room, if you're doing high rep squats or high rep deadlifts or something where it is just, even though you're only doing 15 reps, the set only takes you 45 seconds.
Yeah.
The whole back half of it is horrific, right? And so you're like, I don't want to keep doing this.
And almost always it's almost, you know, like you do a squat and you're like down, up. Like, I'm not fatigued. I just want to die.
That's
like,
literally
I
how
don't
I
want
feel
to do it anymore.
with the 800. Like that's I will never. You cannot. 800 is not my thing.
Yeah. I think that's a really good analogy, you know, because it's like you're just in that zone of like extreme discomfort for a long enough period of time. I think the other hard thing, the thing that I think stops a lot of people from being really great is like the fear of it. Like the weight room's actually really safe. Like if you're well coached and you're responsible about what you're doing, the loads that you get in the weight room are smaller than like if you're playing soccer or something, like in terms of like on your knees and hips, and like your risk of catastrophic injury, you know, assuming you got your safety set up and your programming's intelligent and your form is decent, not that risky, right? But when you're like 12 reps into a squat that you know could just crush you if you screw it up, and then you've got to do another one, like a lot of people never make it past that like psychological hurdle of like, I have to do this for another, you know, I'm sure that it's the same in running where they're like, okay, you know, we're supposed to do 6 miles and they get to 5 and they're like, fuck you.
I just had a tempo. I'd run a 1500 and we got back from the meet super late. It was like 2 a.m. and I had a long run the next day. And my coach was like, okay, we're going to do a really hard tempo in the middle of the long run. And I was like, oh, like I'll knock of sleep. Are you kidding me? And so we did like a 4 mile like warm up and stuff. And then
I hate you so much.
we started the tempo, and the first like 2 miles of the tempo, I just was like, I can't finish this. This is so hard. This is supposed to be my marathon pace. Like what? But then I was like, no, I'm gonna stick with it. And I guess going back to like the pacing stuff earlier, like I did have someone in front of me, so that made it easier. But I'm really glad I stuck with it because it got easier. Like I was actually going faster, but after I like got over that like mental hurdle, I was like, okay, like it'll be fine. And I finished the tempo.
The real answer, what is the hardest thing in the weight room is consistency.
Just going in.
That's the real answer.
9 months into squatting twice a week.
I think that's the same with running.
It absolutely is. When the thing comes up, do you still, right, whatever that thing is, you know, now, right, like now you're getting a little older, it's a little easier in high school because it's scheduled, like college or once you become an adult and it's work, it's kids, it's moving, right? Like there's so many reasons that are going to make you not go for the run or not go into the weight room. And there's only one reason to do it. And unfortunately, most people don't have, like, there's no check. No one gets mad at me if I don't get a workout in. You know?
Yeah, you got to take care of your own business. Yeah. Which is something you're amazing at, by the way.
Thank you.
What do you like? I mean, I think a large part of that is just something that's in people, but I also think it's something you can learn. So like, were there times in your like development where like you were ready to hang up the hat or something and you had a conversation with a coach or something and then it was like, okay, I guess I got to keep going, you know?
So freshman year of college, that was like, I mean, there's already so much to navigate, you know, like coming from high school and also being like first generation and I started like having just like communication stuff like come up with like my coach and the team, and so like that was already like heavy, and I ended up qualifying for nationals my freshman year in cross, and that was super exciting. But right before that happened, my younger cousin had passed away, and then right after nationals, one of my favorite mentors also, and so it was just like freshman year was a lot, and my mom was dealing with epilepsy, or she has epilepsy, so like just hearing about that and like going home, it was just very heavy. And so I feel like there was a time where just like everything felt like a lot, and then running helps me like process things, but it also like brings up a lot, and I was just getting kind of burnt out. And so I did like, I took a step back for a second. Like it was about like 2 weeks. I was like, okay, I just like need to recenter. And that was also during like the time I was like thinking about transferring, and I had talked to the Evergreen coach, and he really made me believe like even though I wasn't in like top shape at that time, like because I had taken 2 weeks off and stuff, that like I could get back to it, and there's no rush to do that though. And I really felt like Evergreen and like the program like saw me as like a whole person, and not just a student, not just an athlete. And I think that's what I was like running into.
It just happened to be what you needed.
Yeah.
Right then, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a time, but I powered through.
Yeah. What about like growing up younger? Like, did you just always love working, or?
Yeah,
because I had you in class, and you were a super strong worker, just all the time, 24/7. So
I think being like an older sister.
Okay.
I don't know, just like wanting to like set a good example for like my siblings, and seeing how like when I was born, like my mom was like a single mom, she worked like 2 jobs, like just seeing that and all, like it was very inspiring, and I definitely think helped me create like a good work ethic. I just had good like role models around me. And but freshman year actually at the state championship, everything was like going really well in cross, and I ended up having like I ended up being like so nervous and like putting so much pressure on myself, and nobody else was like putting on that pressure, like it was just me. And I was super anxious that I ended up getting like water poisoning. Like I was like nervously drinking water, and I flushed out all my electrolytes, and ended up passing out right before the finish line. And I ran into a pole actually, and then I passed out, and I had to like roll across to finish. It was a pretty crazy experience, and I like ran into my teammate by accident. She's like, "What are you doing?" And so when I was like starting to see double, and so there's times when like my work ethic, like I just feel like I have a lot of anxiety too that comes with it, and when I don't have like a good handle on that, like that's when those like burnout moments can come. But thankfully, like I chose to work on that after, because I was like, I don't want that to ever happen again, and I've now gotten like more tools, I guess, to like handle that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really important part of like being successful in sport that a lot of people don't spend enough time thinking about, because anxiety and depression are real when you're competing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna deal with the stresses that you put on yourself or the stresses that other people put on you. And then you're also going to deal with like just the ups and downs of the season. Like, have you like when you finished the marathon and you got your championship, did you ride high on that for weeks, or did you come back to practice like a week later and you were like, I don't even want to be here, I want to go lay down?
Yeah, there was so many mixed emotions, because I was like, that was like such a crazy experience, but like I said, the end was just like
brutal. You saw your ancestors.
Yeah. And it wasn't the pace I like wanted at the end. So even though I won this nationals experience, I still was like, I don't know, I was just focusing on like the stuff that kind of went wrong for a little bit, and also I couldn't like walk after the marathon. Like I was like, there was no training, because you do take like about a month off after, and then I had to like go directly into indoor season, and I like called my coach when that month was like coming up, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for indoor season. Like that was a lot, and we talked about it, and he's like, okay, like this is just, it's gonna be like your decision. And so I think, sorry, I'm like forgetting the original question.
Just dealing with the stresses, like climbing that mountain, and then falling down the backside of it, and like trying to get yourself ready for another season.
It was super humbling, because like when I went back to training, I was kind of falling behind on workouts a bit, and that was another mental block I had to go through, because like the marathon takes so much out of you. Like literally you get done running and stuff, and your body still thinks like you're racing like 2 days after. It's like, well,
it's like playing Tetris. You go to sleep and you're still like,
yeah, no, I was like, my leg would be like twitching. Like it was so weird. So definitely learning how to navigate that, and going into indoor season, that was really hard, but I'm so glad I did, because I made it to nationals, and yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's paying off so far, obviously, right? Like all that hard work, that's gotta be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been great to see your career, like, from a distance. So, see all the highlights and stuff. Yeah, I did hear about, when, you were losing family and having a hard time at school and everything. And, it was, it's funny because sometimes I think you don't realize like how big your support network is, because I remember even, some of like the people around you were like, do you want to reach out to her? Like, I mean, maybe she needs an extra person, and so like, it feels good to know, like, I mean, it felt good for me to know that there was so many people who cared about you, that there was like, they were even reaching all the way back to like, what about your math teacher?
Yeah, no, during that time, I think, like when I experienced like, I guess those low moments, like communities always held me together, and I think that's another reason why I wanted to stay at Evergreen and all that, because I feel like this community has like given so much to me, and I just wanted to be able to give something back. So yeah,
and to piggyback on stress, like it's not just the negative stress, right? Like stress is stress. So you're dealing with like freshman year stress, losing a mentor and a family member stress, like being successful and being like a community's bright spot, stress, right? Like even the good stuff is still stress. Like the body doesn't necessarily know like, oh, this is good stress or bad stress, just stress. Like you gotta learn how to manage it. Like,
yeah, it was like freshman year, like making nationals for cross, that was awesome, but I didn't make nationals in track, and everyone was like, what happened,
Right.
So that was stressful too, but I think it was a good reminder that like even though people were like confused, they're like, okay, like what happened? Like the support was there no matter what. Like it's not gonna change at the end of the day, and I think like I don't have to win every race, even if I want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good to see that like the support is still there.
Is there and I guess it's my bad for not knowing this, but marathon is not necessarily the thing that I pay the most attention to. Like, is there like sponsorship opportunities and stuff? Is that coming around? Do people talk to you? Are you sponsored right now? Like,
yeah.
Do you need to say?
Yeah, were you supposed to be plugging like Gatorade Blue Glacier right now? Or like, did we forget something important?
Yeah, that's also something my coach and I talk about. Like, do I want to look into like NIL stuff? And we both decided that I wanted to take more time to develop as like a student athlete. I wanted to get like a good like handle on like the college experience before I represented anything. Yeah. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm like ready to do that, but I just didn't think it would be fair to like represent a brand if I wasn't, like fully ready for it. And
right. Stress.
And stress,
it's a new stress.
That's another stressor, like.
Yeah, because even though they'd be like supporting me, like new shoes or like whatever, I would still have to like be posting every day and all that. And I just I did take some time off like social media, like when I was going through all that freshman year stuff. So social media is
the worst.
Yeah.
You are joking. I hadn't done social media for years, and now because of this, like I run the social media, so I'm on it like 4 hours a day, right? Like, and it's just like.
We were in your math class, and you were like, okay, everybody, look at how much phone time. Like, I remember doing that. And I was embarrassed about my number. So I was like, oh, I got to change that.
I do that every year, and I try to do it with almost every class, right? Yeah. And on average, the screen time is almost always between 5:20 and 5:40 a day. That's the average screen time.
Mine was like 5:30.
And that's like after we take out like, oh, well, I listen to Spotify. And it's like, okay, well, we'll take your music off. Like, what are you left with? And it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess mine might not be as bad for that just because I do the home computer.
Right.
But it's
I think
it's up there. I guarantee it's 5 hours a day.
Yeah. Before I forget this, going back to the brand question, I think what I want to look for is is someone who like believes in like what I can do, but also I want to believe in like their mission statement.
Oh yeah.
And I think it would be awesome if the brand was focused around women's health, because like women haven't been able to like compete in this sport for as long as like men, and health research health has been very like for women underrepresented. So
yeah, a good friend of ours is wildly underrepresented. Mm-hmm. A good friend of ours was an EMT for years, and when he got his heart attack training, they said they went through all the training, and then their caveat at the end was that heart attacks present atypically in women and diabetics. And he serves a population where, like, in most of the world, there's slightly more women than men. Mm-hmm. And so how do you say that it's atypical in women?
Yeah. Like,
yeah. It's a train wreck. We should talk about that a little bit. But before we get into it, I was right on the tip of a good question there.
Probably not. I'm just going to start saying that. Oh, shit. Yeah. I had such a good question.
I had a good response.
I need that alpha brain. I would have
answered the shit out of that.
I feel like there's a big takeaway in the first hour of this conversation that is just that you said that I feel like you just hit the nail on the head, and I just wanted to like highlight it because I thought it was a wonderful statement about the program seeing you as a whole person.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that does get lost. Like we had Doug Sells on to talk about his track career.
Nice.
And he was talking about how like his mindset was that when I went to school for track, I was there for track. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't care about his degree or whatever he was going to be doing afterwards. Like he was really fixated on sport, right? Yeah. And I was honestly very much the same way, when I was young, very fixated on the sport. And so I think that's like a really like a profound thing to draw some attention to, that you're a whole person and that you're going to have you're going to need to grow emotionally, and you're going to have heartaches, and you're going to have to learn how to manage stress, and you're going to have to figure out what you want to do with your life, and all that kind of stuff, right?
I think, when I was graduating and like trying to figure out what college I wanted to go to, I had some big offers from like D1 schools, like Full Rides, and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
But I just heard a lot of stories about like or people who put like being an athlete first, and what they wish they could have done differently. So I'm glad I got that advice early on, because I was like, okay, maybe I'll go to the D2 route, because I think like maybe they'll value like the student athlete a little bit more. And I mean, not every D school is like that. I just happened to have found that at SMU at the time. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're like the program experience is going to be different from place to place. So if you're an athlete or a parent or a coach or whatever, like it's something to look out for, because it makes a big difference. Mm-hmm.
And it there's something to be said. Like a Division I school is used to getting really, really good athletes, right? Like that, they're Division I. So they are allowed to not care as much about the athlete because they're used to getting the top athletes, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like by going to the other school, like you yourself are like very special, right? Mm-hmm. So, which you are, you should be taken that way, but it's just it's the big business of Division I. So like your coach being able to say like at the end of the marathon when track season's coming up, like, hey, you do what you need to do, girl.
Yeah,
right? Like you probably aren't getting that same thing from a program of that level.
We actually talk about that a lot, or at least, Evergreen really focuses on long-term development, and that's something that D1 schools, it's really hard to, because they want to like win now. They want to get that title now.
Yeah, points are important.
Yes, and at Evergreen, points, we're trying to build the program, but right now that's just not like a center. We just want to have like runners come and
be successful, have fun.
Yeah,
grow.
And I think, what was I going to say, D1, it's interesting how many athletes don't actually go pro, like at least for running, like after their time at D1, because I don't know, they've been doing like the intensity has been like boom, boom, boom for so long. And that's kind of what I talk about with my coach, is like there's some things we purposely don't do in training because I know I want to run after college.
Right.
So.
Right. So you're basically like possibly sacrificing the later to win now, right?
Yep.
Like we're going to overload your body because we need to, and the university is a business.
Yeah.
Like it's giving a scholarship. It expects the wins to happen now, right? I'm sure they're really proud of people that go on and do other things later on, right? Especially if you then give money back to the university.
Yeah.
Where this one is like, hey, you're a really awesome person. We're going to program you and we're going to celebrate you after you leave, which again, like that's very big evergreen style type of thing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic because the whole currency for colleges is prestige. So the more people that, like, we've had more U.S. presidents who went to Harvard than any other school. So that's like a feather in their cap or whatever, right?
Right.
And the more names that you can associate with the university, the more influential the university becomes. And so if you have a program where you're like, hey, we had this wonderful kid and she ran a bunch of races and won, that's great. If she goes on and has a great professional career, that's even better, but we all know how that funnel works, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you probably have the talent to continue running and to do an open career and stuff, but there's a lot of people where, like, scoring points in college is about as far as they're going to go. And so that's a tough choice for a coach to make, to be like, hey, I'm going to sacrifice some points. I'm going to sacrifice some points every season so that I can launch this kid into the Bay of Sharks.
Yeah.
Right, and then can the coach survive that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, big payoff if it works.
They are also on the chopping block.
Yeah. Huge payoff if it works, though, right? Like if you're the guy, if Kipchoge went to your college, that's great for you.
I think. I just really appreciate that my coach asked me. He was like, what are your goals? Like, and at the time, like I didn't really have that focus on the long term, but I think, like I said, like I feel like my confidence grew a lot at Evergreen, and something I wanted to like come back to. Like I wanted to come back to that question, and when I did, my coach was like, okay, like that, we'll work in that direction then. There wasn't like but you said this. Like he was willing to be like flexible, which is I think another important aspect of training, especially if you do it year round.
It's huge. Again, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a ballsy move though to take your star, and just be like, we can bench it if you need to, and then
Now I'm sure behind the scenes they were just like
sweating buckets.
Did we just kill her? Did we just ruin our freaking top runner?
Yeah.
Who the hell let her run the damn marathon?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about health for girls running. So again, our whole introduction to this was dealing with like how dysfunctional like weight cuts and stuff tend to be. I know there's like famously the stories of Nike. Hopefully I'm not shooting any of your sponsorships right now, but
that's what I just realized. She did say a quote was "Just do it." Like, is she really shooting for that Nike
the history? I love Nike. Like our team is actually sponsored by Nike, but
don't say anything that's going to get yourself in trouble.
No. Okay, how can
say it. I'll say it. Here we go. They're doing. It seems like they're doing better now. I haven't heard them being engaged in any scandal in a long time. So
I mean, change happens when you share your stories.
Yeah. Change happens when you share your stories.
Yeah.
So wise. So years ago, there was what's her name now? Chelsea. Oh. Do you know Chelsea's last name? I don't know. I think it's Chelsea. She ran for Nike and had a coach who was obsessed with the scale. He wanted her to weigh a certain amount, and she had a real hard time getting there. And it was I obviously I wasn't there. I've just seen interviews with her, right? And her side of the story was that it was a pretty cruel and demeaning environment to be in.
Yeah.
And she ran worse when she was lighter.
Yeah.
Like she hit the point of diminishing returns and then getting worse again. As she lost weight. And it's an interesting thing, you always hear lighter is faster. And we all understand what they're talking, like we all understand the idea, right? Like if I wasn't carrying an extra 30 pounds of Christmas cookies, I would definitely run a faster mile, right?
Yeah. Lighter is faster, but what they're really saying is they're talking about the power weight ratio.
Yeah, it's like a body composition idea, right? Like you don't want to carry a lot of extra weight, and like being stronger is not going to hurt you, and like there's a lot more fidelity to that conversation. So like if you don't, you can talk about as much or as little as you want to, right? Because I know it can get pretty intense and pretty personal when you start asking girls about their weight across the span of their career in a sport, right?
Yeah.
But like, what's that experience been like for you, starting as like taking it pretty seriously all the way as like a freshman in high school, right, to where you're at now, right?
Well, it's interesting because I actually want to start with like my middle school story.
Let's do that then.
Because Yeah, they were weighing us in middle school, which I don't know. I don't exactly know like why they did it, but like that definitely like affected like my body image for a sec. Like I'm not gonna lie, like there was nights where like I would eat like a super big breakfast, but then I would like not eat dinner, you know? And it wasn't like it was more just like the system. Like it wasn't because I had really good coaches like middle school, high school, but it was like literally just like the first day of track they would do everybody, and it was just a required thing. So I feel like that type of stuff, like that's so like normalized because like every school did it, you know, it wasn't just Shelton. Like that type of stuff we can definitely like look like how can we change this, you know, like is this really like necessary?
Well, yeah, and what do you get out of that? Like as a coach, you know.
So I know, like I did the head coach for the middle school. So with that federation, and I don't know if it's the same that you guys ran with like St. Mike's and like some of the smaller like Olympia like Christian schools and things like that. Like they compete since it's the reason they do that is because like they are 6 through 8, and we like right now like we're 5, 6. So our 5th and 6th graders are competing against.
So they set up weight classes for competition.
It's weight classes.
Yeah.
So
I feel like if someone explained that a bit more.
Right. So like, and it may have been the same. Did you go to OMS?
I did.
So there was the 5-6 school. Okay, sorry. So basically, what they do is, so our 6th graders aren't necessarily competing with like 8th graders. They make so like we almost never have like a class 3 or C, whatever one the biggest one is. Like we almost never, right? It's like our bigger, like the throwers and stuff. Sometimes they'll get into that division, but it works a little bit, you know, and it helps a little, but you probably could just do grades.
It's just one of those things where you're like dedeveloping your identity as a human being, and they're like, you're in the wrong weight class.
Like,
yes. Right. And I think that it works on the, you know, both sides.
Logistically, it's okay.
Being the head coach, right? Being the head coach, though, like I said, like my background was in dietetics, and my specialization, like I really wanted to be like extreme weight loss, right? And like having to tell a 5th grade girl that she's like class 3, like you're going to compete against 8th graders because you're too big. Is not a cool thing. Right, like it's not great. Like for people with a soul, right? I barely have a soul, and it was like non-cool. You know what I mean? So I get it. Like we probably should look at that. But it's probably a bunch of people that don't think about. They're not thinking about that.
Yeah, because I mean, middle school, like you're already going through so many changes, and like then there's that. It's like, oh, like do I have to change this? You know. And then I got into high school, which I don't really remember them doing that. Like I don't think. Yeah, they kind of like went away from that. And then college, when I was looking at programs and like talking to like different teams and stuff, like some of the girls were like, yeah, like our coach weighs us, and that was crazy to hear, you know. We've had so many conversations around that, and people are still doing that, you know. But yeah, luckily I've in all my programs that like in both my college experiences, like that didn't happen for me, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah,
it's just like there's just so many factors to like the body weight. Like, again, I understand the concept. If you're not doing something to get like much stronger, the body weight can slow you down. Or we can just understand that young kids are still growing, and there's stuff that happens, and just try to give them like nutrition advice and keep like educate them so that they can make their own decisions instead of just being like 115. You're gonna start cutting. That's 116 is unhealthy. You know, like what the hell? Like that set you up for some failure.
Yeah, well, and it's a weird conversation to have. Like, it's weird that there's not that much fidelity to the conversation. Like, there's not that much to know to have a conversation about like what a goal weight should be. Like, you know, your body composition is basically like your skeleton, which you can't control. I'm not going to turn you into a 6'5" runner, right? And then you've got how much muscle and how much body fat you have, right? So you can get more muscle, but if you're training really hard for endurance, it's hard to put on muscle. Like you're going to have a hard time packing on 20 pounds of muscle as a marathoner, right? And then the body fat dial, of course, you can adjust, but like you know, especially for women's runners, right? If you turn that down too low, then all of a sudden you don't have any energy. You start getting stress fractures. Like your whole menstrual cycle stops. Like you just get to the point where like your body's not working anymore.
Well, what's interesting too, like depending on the phase of the month, women like will weigh more, you know, and it's something coaches like don't understand, and it's like and also like there's certain times in the weeks like we need to be eating more, and I just think I've been looking more into like women's health, but it's still like so, because it wasn't like taught to me in school, like there's still so much to learn and so much I don't understand about like how each phase like affects training and all that.
Yeah, my big thing for you is like be relentless seeking that information out. And if you feel like no one has that knowledge, like you just found yourself a niche, right? Like you be the one that finds that information out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you be the front runner of that. Like not only are you like super intelligent, like you're driven, and you're going to have a platform, right? Like to do those kind of things. So just don't be satisfied with like, the coaches don't know.
Yeah.
There are people that know. I'm sure that there's people that have done, you know, studies and things like that, but like you can always press that, you know, use your platform.
Yeah. So you've been fortunate, it sounds like then, like most of the time, pretty good coaches, pretty good culture.
Yes. Yeah.
Has it been something that you like put any pressure on for yourself? Like, do you ever worry about it?
Because I think I've mentioned like I tend to be like kind of an anxious person and stuff. And when I stop doing like all the like mindfulness stuff I do throughout the week to like keep that in check, it is something like I worry about, because I'm going to these big races, especially when we go to like the D1 invites and all that, and these girls, they just look a certain way. Like I've always been like a strength runner, so I don't look like the other girls at the start line, and that is something I think about. But like I said, like I have a really good community around me that reminds me like, hey, that's what like puts you like ahead, you know, like you like it's fine. But it is something I can like stress about sometimes, but I like to remind myself like what I'm doing, like how I look and stuff, like it's working, you know? So there's no reason to like change it up like that.
Yeah, I think when you've got like good, like principled training, you know, like you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, you're eating well, like everybody's body is going to look a little different anyway, right? Like you can't ever make yourself be somebody else's body. And like, I've often, like my entire life, have kind of struggled with my weight a little bit because I'm a emotional eater. That's my you know, that's my stress response. And I remember one time I went into the doctors and I was like 230 pounds. They were like, you need to lose some weight, and they were 100% right. You know, I was probably 40 pounds overweight or whatever at the time. And then there was another time I went to the doctors and I was 230 pounds and I had abs. And I was like, and they were like, you need to lose some weight. And I was like, from where? Like, what am I supposed to lose? You know? And so like bodies can be, you know, like your body is going to change throughout your sport, right? Throughout your career. And it's not going to look like somebody else's, you know?
I think it's funny when athletes are like labeled like as obese, but it's literally just muscle. But like based on the scale, they're like, So that's interesting.
I think the big thing that you said there was like you practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially like everybody's going to struggle with body dysmorphia. Maybe not everybody. There are probably some people that are like, I am perfect, but
me,
not you. You do not think you're perfect. We talk all the time. But so like it doesn't matter where you get like I've been thinner, and sometimes I'm like I look too thin. I don't like the way, and I've been bigger, and I'm like I look too fat. I've been buffer. And I say, I'm not buff enough, right? Like, never once did I ever, like, maybe, like, I've lied. Like, post-Afghanistan, I was like, I'm good. So I guess if, like, once a year I leave.
And go live in a war zone for a while?
And, like, have the adrenaline drip and have, like, be able to happen to be lucky enough that the people that we replaced had, like, weightlifting equipment. And we built, like, racks out of wood, and we had a sandbag bench press and stuff, like, so, like, get to lift, and people sent us like supplements, right? So that's all I need for 1 year and tan. In that scenario, I felt like okay, like, but that's never happening again. So like, no matter where I'm at, and I feel like this is most people, like the body dysmorphia is going to be there. It's the mindfulness to be able to like see it and then go like, okay, shut up, I'm good. right? Like everything's fine. Like I'm doing fine, right? Like, and then, but it's also okay to want to better yourself. Like that's perfectly fine. Like as long as it's not an unhealthy thing. Like
yeah, maybe another good opportunity for a good relationship with a coach or a mentor or whatever, right? Because if you can have those conversations and have them be honest conversations and not feel like you're being judged for you know like your thoughts and feelings about it or whatever, you know, because you know that can get you in trouble real fast with somebody when they're like, oh well, I was thinking about this, and they're like, that's dumb.
Yeah, like. I think it's interesting, that conversation about like women's health too, because there has been times like, because I love like looking at nutrition and like what I could do better, and that's a conversation I do want to have with my coaches. But I could tell like when I first got to Evergreen, my coach was like wanting to like stay away from that, because it's like, yeah, how do you talk, especially if you're like a different gender than like your athlete, you know, like how do you bring up those conversations? So I think I would like to help help lessen the gap between those conversations, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have anybody that I'm putting you on the spot here, and you might not just be able to pull it off out of thin air, but like, do you have anybody right now that you listen to, like a podcast that you like, or where you're like, it doesn't have to be a podcast, it could be an influencer, anybody where you're like, oh, they're doing really good, like I really like what they're saying.
I really like Primarily here. They're like a non-toxic health brand, and they, even though their focus is like skincare, they always talk about like what we're also like putting inside like our bodies, and I just found them to be like a really good source for like women's health understanding. Yeah.
An ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Ask how to spell that. I'll look them up.
Yeah.
There's like, it's interesting though, because there's some things I'm like, like, do I agree with it? But I feel like for the most part, that podcast is definitely.
That's, I think right now we get to this a lot, like in life, like you don't have to agree with everything somebody says for them, right? Like it's an insane way to look at it, right? True. Like me and Cofield don't agree.
I'm right.
On
time.
I won't even necessarily disagree with that. Like I know that some of my like views and stuff aren't probably right for everybody, but that doesn't make us like, we still have a good relationship.
I think in society, like we need to learn how to like have those conversations like when we disagree, and like how to do it in like a respectful way, you know, and or how to do it in a way that like you're not taking it to heart, and I think that's important.
Well, even like you said, like you went to talk to your coach about it, and they're like, right? But like that should be a pretty normal conversation, because you are a woman and you are doing a sport, right?
Yeah.
And so like,
I've just noticed that like to like anybody I talk to though, like even the health curriculum like in high school, and just like all the coaches I've had in other sports, like it's just nobody like wants to like really go into that topic because of like past things that happen. But I feel like that shouldn't be the solution for.
Yeah, I mean it can really easily get political, right? Like people can really easily bring pretty intense opinions to it. But there's somebody that does something. They do surveys about like for like incoming doctors. Oh. And they'll ask questions that are like, you know, gender bias, racially loaded, whatever, right? And it's actually pretty frightening how often there's really significant biases that prop up in like the new batch of doctors, you know?
Oh, for sure.
And so, you know, it is something like we should just be more comfortable talking about it. Like it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know. It's okay to have questions.
Yeah, you know? I think because I really want to help expand like health education curriculums to be more like inclusive and culturally competent and all that, and help design programs. But I know that I'm not going to like understand everything, and or have like 100% understanding of like different cultures or like populations, different groups of people. So asking those questions and not being afraid is a really important part of that process.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing right now is with social media and how fast we can get information out there. Is like, you know, on this interview, or like every day we record a 1 to 2 hour episode, not every day, but quite often. Somebody could listen to, we're on episode 23. Everything me and Kyle have said in 23 episodes could be factual. And then like the next thing I say might be wrong. I might just have information wrong. I might have heard it.
I've said wrong stuff. Right. I've made mistakes.
Somebody could then clip that and be like, look at these idiots. Like they're spouting off like this is a podcast that they do and it's completely wrong. And some people, like, that's like almost like crippling. Or if you're a professional, like, I don't want to have hot takes or like try to push the boundary, because there's a good chance if you're pushing the boundary, some of the stuff you're going to say is wrong. Some of the ideas you're going to have is wrong. And that most people are not going to want to do that, because that's not a safe place, right? Like, it's
people don't give other people space to like share and feel comfortable. Like, yeah, like you said earlier, like people are supposed to fail. People are supposed to like make mistakes and like their understandings. And I don't know. I definitely think social media has made people be like less authentic, if that's the right word.
Yeah, you just got to find that group that like you're okay having, and it's probably a good idea to not have a group that everybody believes the same exact thing, but has the same goal. Like if there's a couple of different people from different backgrounds that are all like on the same page trying to go the same way, like I think that's when you're going to get the best, because you'll have like me and Kyle, right? We have similar backgrounds, but like we have different beliefs. So when we're going towards a goal, like we're able to like come from both sides and get to that. Like not that we're doing
changing the world.
It made it sound like
one podcast at a time.
Really awesome stuff.
We are doing really awesome stuff. Shut up. We've got Alauna here.
Yeah.
I think that it's also important to know that those conversations get more mature the more that we have them. Like, I think the first interracial kiss on TV was Star Trek. And it was Captain Picard and Lieutenant Uhura, and I'm not sure if it was the first interracial kiss, but I think it was. But they were like forced to do it. You know, they were like, like if I remember the episode correctly, there was like this omnipotent god who was like, now kiss, and, you know, like made them, and people freaked out about it. Like they had a nuclear meltdown about people being forced to kiss who were, you know, had different races, right?
Yeah.
And I know, like, I've got young kids, and so I'm like, oh, hey, we should watch some of the shows I loved when I was a kid, and then I'll put them on, and they'll have like an episode about like substance abuse, or they'll have an episode about, you know, like gay rights or something, right? And they're well-meaning, like they want to contribute to the conversation in a positive way. But if you watch them in the 2025 lens, you know, a 1995 show, you're like, this is horrific. Like I don't want to show this
for
to
the
children.
time. They were progressive. But we've progressed.
That actually reminds me, one of my favorite classes I took at Evergreen last year was Indigenous feminism versus like how feminism first started. And feminism, when it first started, was not inclusive actually to like all cultures, I'd say. And like, so just seeing how they could like appreciate like where it started, but like move in a direction where to make it better, but not like tearing down where it like started too. Like that was really important, you know? Yeah,
that's a really, like, I mean, we're an hour and a half in. We could talk about waves of feminism. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm super versed in this topic.
So, it is interesting to look back, because there definitely were, you know, it's like, you know, like first wave was kind of like the suffragettes and getting the right to vote and stuff. And then it was like, okay, well, what about Asian women? And they were like, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like whatever the group was, it took a while before it became, you know, like women as a group. Like it really was more just kind of like white women in America. Right. And, you know, then like, the second wave of feminism was more about like economic opportunity, right? And then I don't know how many waves we're into now. I'm out of my depth. I've forgotten.
I feel like there's like 5.
Yeah. But and then, you know, you get all the way to like kind of the, you know, modern movements where it's like, hey, if there's a system in place and I can take advantage of it, then why wouldn't I do that? You know.
Also, I feel like certain waves of feminism has like kind of like brought down men. I don't know how to explain it, but like, or don't give them space to kind of like feel, I don't know how to explain this, but I guess if you want everyone to support feminism,
like you said what you were trying to say in just a quick little sentence. You said, like, let's just build together.
Yeah.
Right? Like that movement should be a building block so that we're all like, we're really trying to build a society.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're bringing up one part of the society. So like yes, like definitely like as a middle-aged white male for a long time, right? Like that's kind of the place you wanted to be. Like we don't want to bring that down. We want to bring everybody to this like awesome place of success. Like that we don't want this because then like
not excluding anybody.
Right, this isn't good.
Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game. Everybody can have rights and opportunities.
When we started this whole thing, like we planned it all around this book, 12 Months to $1 Million, right? It's a really good like business-based like book, and he talks about how the only reason you think making $1 million is hard is because you don't have $1 million. There's not limited amounts of money. They're like, if I make money, doesn't mean you don't get to make money. But that's how people like us, who I still can't even believe to make that, right? Like, it seems so difficult, but it's not a zero-sum game. It doesn't, me making money doesn't take money away from you. We're not competing for the same dollars. We all can just, rise each other up. So, but that takes everybody working in the right direction. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that.
Well, and I think that's the, kind of the, so I'm dipping way back to my feminist art history class, which was a dope class, by the way. If you ever have a chance to take feminist art history, I encourage you to do it. But, like the feminism mission statement was just that everybody should have equal opportunities and equal rights. Like, and it's just highlighting the fact that women didn't. Right? Yeah. It was not saying that somebody else needs to lose stuff. It's just saying that everybody should have the opportunity to do stuff.
Which I feel like social media can make it seem like someone has to like lose stuff. And
I think that's really like a human thing. Like people often see systems as zero-sum games. That like if that there's one tennis ball to play with, and if you've got it, then I don't got it. Right? And then other people see it as like, well, I can make as many tennis balls as I want. We can have 1 million tennis balls in here tomorrow. Like somebody's just got to make the decision, right? And so it isn't a zero-sum game. Everything we do adds value. Every time we interact with each other, every time we contribute something to the world, it adds value. And so just gotta keep that in frame of mind. Agreed. It's not a zero-sum game. We can add value.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just added some value right there.
Maybe.
Oh, that was value, baby. This whole episode's been value.
Just yeah. So anyway, okay, let's see if we can get a couple things here to wrap it up here. Okay, so advice for parents of athletes.
I would say I hate the phrase like if you don't come in first, you're last, because it can totally take away from like that whole race, because there's been plenty of races where I didn't win, but I mean, I learned how to race better, like different race tactics, or I learned, or I gotta like help someone like else like reach their PR, which like I know everyone wants their PR like personally, but I think there's a lot of different things you can like take away from a race, or like learning how to race in the heat versus like the cold, like so it's not always about winning, at least for me.
Yeah, win or learn, not win or lose.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. We talked a lot about the value that you've gotten out of your coaches, the value of communicating, the value of believing in the person, of encouraging the whole growth of the person. I think that was all real good stuff.
Yeah. I'll jump in there, especially with like winning, because running, it doesn't seem like running and powerlifting probably would have a lot in common, but it is in the sense that like...
They're basically identical.
Yeah, and it really, like, if you think of the way the competition is, right? It's an individual and you're working really hard for a long time. And if you're only focused on winning, you can do a lot of winning. Like, we could, if we were your coaches, we could go find a bunch of races where, like, untalented people were and just slay all the time.
Like, stomp people.
Right. Like, and so same in powerlifting. Like, I could go to a bunch of local meets. Like, I probably could find a meet where I could win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get my ass kicked in, like, any competitive. I'm going to get beat in a competitive high school meet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so the winning... There's really only one person that gets to win.
Yeah.
Right? There's the fastest person. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? There's the strongest person. So, like, enjoy the wins, but understand, like, it's the like you said, it's the PRs, it's getting better, it's learning from the situations. Like, that's really what it is. And then, like, fortunately for you, like, you're one of the people that get to worry about, like, I might be able to win. Yeah. I might win running. Like, so like,
I might
but
win
most
running.
people, most people are gonna have kids. We were talking about parents. Like most people are gonna have kids that are gonna be somewhere below that mark, right? Like most of their athletic careers, most people's athletic careers they don't end with some great championship.
Yeah.
right? Like,
and I think that goes in the conversation, like, why are sports important? Like, yeah, if you don't win, but it really builds character. Like, for me, like, I feel like I'm truly, like, such a better person because I did sports. I know how to, like, work with the team. I know how to, like, uplift others. So, yeah, it's not always about winning, for sure.
You just started a whole another podcast.
It is rarely about the winning for most people.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, across your career it can be very different, right? Like, I remember when I first started doing sports, I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but when I first started doing sports, there was a kid in our community who was a really talented athlete who was my age. And then we got to high school and, you know, a couple of us outgrew him. You know, like, we were faster and stronger and, you know, he had some struggles and stuff in his personal life too, but, you know, he just kind of fell off the radar for doing stuff. And so he went from winning all the time to, you know, not being able to win. And then, you know, meanwhile, I went from just going to hang out with my buddies to winning quite frequently. And so, you know, it's a very, like, your path as an athlete, who knows what path it's going to take, right? But you still get to learn all those great things. You still get to learn how to work hard, you know, how to help your team, how to lift people up. I like that you said lift people up. I'm always trying to push people down.
Yeah.
You know, trip them, shove them over.
Stand on the heads of giants.
Yeah. They go to weigh in their equipment and I, like, lift the scale a little from the backside. Like, oh, that shot put's underweight. Can't throw it. You got to throw it some junky one that we got in a bin over there.
Okay, I'm going to share a story, and I don't...
I like that comment sparked a story.
Yeah, so when I first got into the NAIA, it was our conference championship for outdoor season, and, well, I guess a little later on in the season, and I had a really good shot of, like, winning the conference meet. And but I was, like, a brand new, like, I was a freshman going up against these, like, seniors, and I just come from, like, D2, so, like, I wasn't exactly, like, liked by the other, you know, teams. But so we get to the conference championship and we have, like, 200 meters, like, left to go, and I hear this girl's team, like, the girl right, like, she was, like, right behind me, her team was like, make the move now. And she ended up, she like pushes me, like, and I was on the inside lane, and when you do that, that's when you, like, challenge, like, you can, that's when you get, like, flagged or whatever. But yeah, I ended up, like, losing the lead by a lot and losing the race, and my coach was like, oh, like, we can challenge that. But I was like, no, like, I don't want to do that. But I guess there is, like, moments where it's not exactly, like, bringing the other person down. It's, like, standing up for yourself, blah, blah. I had to, like, learn that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of a tricky part of it, right? Because there's a lot of people who do some...
Yeah.
I mean, people are just people, right? So, like, probably most of the people that you run against are great, and then every once in a while you run against somebody who's a real snake in the grass.
Even good people with no rules will sometimes do questionable shit.
And she was, like, a really sweet person after the race. Like, that, I don't know. Like, I know.
The race is the race, girl. Like, being sweet ain't necessarily, it's not the time to be sweet.
That's what everyone told me. I was like, yeah, okay, I may have messed up. Like, I don't want to tell her.
Karate, you should have armed her ass or something.
For real. Yeah.
Flying kick. Turnabout's fair play.
I learned a lot. Like I said, I was a freshman, new, and all that.
I would like to see a flying kick at the last 200 meters. Like, it would be the weakest kick ever.
Yes.
When your legs are just smoked and you got nothing left. Do you have any, like, what have you learned about being a good teammate that you can share with people?
I've learned that after a race, like, if your teammate has an off day but, like, you didn't, like, it's okay to, like, celebrate your win or whatever, but, like, do it, I mean, I keep using this word, but, like, do it mindfully. And always make sure your teammates know that, like, that race did not, like, define their worth at all. And I think, like, parents, like, that goes for parents too. Like, if your kid has a bad day, just making sure, like you can talk about the race and, like, what you would have wanted to do differently, but at the end of the day, just make sure, like, they know the support is still there. Like, you're, like, vocalizing it. It's not something, like, you think they know, like, making sure they, like, hear it. Because especially with, like, those travel meets, when we go, like, to a faraway meet and athletes run and then have, like, an off day and then have to, like, sit in the car for, like, hours, or, like, that plane ride, and they, like, are constantly thinking what they could have done differently. Like, you as a teammate can, like, help them, like, take their mind off that, or realizing that, like, you could, like, bond over stuff that, like, isn't running and it doesn't. So I guess just
I think that goes both ways. Mm-hmm. The person that had the off day should work also hard to allow you to enjoy it.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That comes you're thinking of it from your side because you've always been, not always, but you're a very successful person, so you've thought about it that way. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about it from the other side. I could really bring a room down, with oh, I had a hard, yeah, you did. It was an off day. That sucks. But you don't, you shouldn't just be out there I'm the great ass. Yeah. Oh, look at, smack them with your trophy. Right? That's probably not cool. Yeah. But, I also shouldn't, no one's listening to the music on the way home because Monroe had a bad race, right? So, again, just the same way you're being mindful, I should be being mindful too.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a piece of perspective in there. I remember we went to a powerlifting meet once where we had a girl on the team who I loved to death and was a wonderful mentor to the rest of the team. She was one of our team captains and stuff. And we went to a meet and she had a real bad time. And she was frustrated, frustration tears, you know. And there were other kids on the team who she had mentored who were just having the best time of their lives. You know, they were just doing cartwheels and having setting PRs and winning and scoring points and everything else that they'd ever, that they wanted, exceeding what their expectations were for themselves. And she was real frustrated and everything. And I was like, I know that you're frustrated right now, and it was a hard meet and it was a weird judging decision and all those kinds of things, right? But look at what you've done for your group. Give yourself a minute to be proud of yourself as a leader in the room because everybody here who's doing cartwheels and having a great time is doing it because of you, right? Yeah. And so even when you have bad days, if you're engaged in the team, there's usually some value there, right? There's something that you can do that's
I mean, I know I'm always more motivated to race when I see other greeners on the line. Yeah, so...
Because you've got somebody to take the windbreak for you for the first...
Yeah.
You guys call yourself the greeners?
Okay.
You're not the flying...
The gooey ducks.
The running gooey ducks.
Gooey ducks? Okay, I love Evergreen. It's just not intimidating.
Not at all.
And have you heard our fight song? It's rough.
Slither through the sand.
Who passed
that? Extend our neck and squirt water.
I think that makes it more threatening. If you can show up and intentionally be a badass knowing that you're a gooey duck, you know what I mean? It's transformative.
Yeah. No, one of my friends, she goes to another school and her team would always call us the gooey snails. I'm like, not anymore.
Not after I win.
I love going to big schools and kind of being the underdog. Underdog school and stuff and just going out and doing my thing and looking I did that. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, I gotta know, do you have a favorite running story?
Yeah. One of my favorite running stories is actually in high school.
Okay.
We were doing this team camp. It was my senior year, and it was out by Lake Easton, and it kind of reminds me of your story about you doing the half marathon and it took 5 hours because I went into this trail run super confident. My friend, she had forgotten her water when we got to the trail. I'm like, oh, you can have mine, it'll be fine. And we ended up being we ended up getting separated that run. And the group I was in, the girl, one of my friends, she had filled her water with lemonade and we were dying the whole run. It was not easy. Coach Jay had given us this old school map to follow too, and the hills on maps, I should have known, but I was like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. But the hills were just nonstop. It was insane. And we finally get down at the end of the trail, and I see the water in the van. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. But the people with the keys weren't there, so I had to just stare at the water. And my friend who I had given my water bottle to, she comes down the mountain or whatever, and I realized my water bottle was still full, and I was like, oh my god, give me it, and she whacks it out of my hands. I'm like, what are you doing? This is water. And she goes, it's creek water. I got desperate. And she's like, I don't want you to get an amoeba. So yeah, I mean, it was a super hard run, but it did create a lot of memories, and I will never hand my water off to anybody ever again. But that whole camp was just super fun, and it reminds me of when we would used to every year we would go to Tillamook too, which is a mud run, and you'd cross water and like go up the Switch Up Hill, and you'd camp out and have like s'mores, and so I love memories like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could just imagine you coming up on somebody who's got like heat exhaustion and they're just like collapsed on it, like water, and you're like, get bent.
Yeah.
Find a creek.
Yeah. You get your own amoebas.
Yeah. And it's funny because she goes, till this day, that was the best water I've ever had. I'm like, was it? Like, are you sure?
Probably was.
So, yeah.
Probably had a bunch of minerals dissolved in it. It was probably real tasty.
Yeah.
I drank in a little bit of creek water in my day.
I drank out of a puddle.
A puddle?
Twice. I had a wild childhood. One was we were just playing basketball down at the old Evergreen Elementary.
Yeah.
And it was like, I ain't got no water, man. It was like, it freshly rained.
Fresh rain.
It was clear.
How bad could it be?
You know what I mean? Elementary playground.
Ooh.
Pretty gross place.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Mostly.
And then the other one was at the top of Northcliffe.
Oh, yeah.
And I ran that way too fast. And I was like, got to that, I was just like, and I was like, no cars coming. Puddle.
Still not dead.
Yeah.
Worked out fine both times.
That hill
There was
is
no,
insane.
there was nothing floating. That puddle was probably better than the first one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was kind of off the road a little bit.
I also loved like doing workouts in high school, and we used to do this dice game where you roll the dice and that would like determine the workout. Sometimes it'd be really great, other times it's like you're doing 100 push-ups and then like an 800, it's like what? But yeah, those were like always fun times, and I'm still like, I mean, even though I've been at Evergreen for 2 years, we're still like building like our team program, so I'm excited for like all the memories I'll make.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk, because like running being an individual sport, like you've had a lot of individual accolades, but like all your favorite things have been wrapped around a community and team, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, which may make the next step interesting, right? Like if you want to do a post-collegiate run, you might have to find a crew.
True, yeah.
You know? That'd be good. That'd be good for you.
Well, I'm excited because that is like one of my goals, is to like run after college. And one of my teammates right now, Izzy, she does race walk, and she actually just qualified and raced at U.S. Nationals. So that was pretty cool to know that like someone is like on a similar path as me from Evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, well, I think we did a good job. I think we did it. Do you have anything else you need to talk about?
I feel like we covered it all.
Covered it all. All right.
Well, a lot of it.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Covered it all.
All of it.
Everything about women's health.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, we already established that women's health is atypical. You know, men's health is the norm, and
there's
so
a magazine.
Yeah, so there's probably a couple people who are thinking about it, but I don't know why.
It's solved.
It's solved.
In this one podcast.
We did it. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. If you're, a distance adjacent company and you want to sponsor one of the best people I know, she's on Facebook. And like, comment, subscribe, share, and have a wonderful day.